Hey man, I hope you're doing well right now. I want to film this video because I think it's very, very important. I would have loved to have this video like a year or two ago. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Let's not waste any time. A few years ago, I had a lot of doubts about my relationship. The problem with that was it really kept me from going deeper in that relationship. It kinda... what's the right word? It debilitated me. Because on the one hand, I knew I was with a great woman, and I knew that I loved her and I wanted to stay with her. I was very clear about that, very reflected about that as well. But then at the same time, I wasn't really able to fully commit because I wasn't sure whether the relationship was good enough, and I had doubts. I often had thoughts about breaking up. There was one specific scenario around a year ago where my girl and I did a little trip just one afternoon, and we slept in nature, and I got like a little campfire going and stuff, right? Like collected some wood and stuff and got a little bonfire going and stuff. And it was a very nice evening, very nice scenery. We had a good conversation, everything, right? And as things happen, I got into the mood and we start getting into things, right? But after a few minutes, she's pulling away and she's uncertain about whether we should do this, and like she's not feeling it and all this stuff, right? And at this point, we've been dating for like 4 years, almost 5 years at this point. But a couple of years before that, she got off birth control and still kind of suffered from the consequences, meaning back then she lost her period completely, lost her sex drive, and she still kind of recovered from that. It's really mad how young women just get these hormones that just completely screw with their natural state. It's horrific, to be honest, but that was still kind of happening there. And this evening was tough for me because I'm naturally a very good sleeper, to be honest, but when I sleep outdoors and it's a bit brighter, right, because like stars, moon and everything, right, and there's sounds everywhere when you sleep in a forest, I laid awake for 4 hours that evening, mostly because I was contemplating the relationship. I remembered this one chapter from the book called The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida, which is titled... what's the title exactly? Choose a Woman Who Chooses You, I think that's the exact title. And in that moment I was like, does she even choose me? Does she even want to be with me? Or am I wasting time here on something that isn't worth it, right? And all these thoughts, and it really got to the point where I genuinely every week thought about breaking up. And not only was that of course bad for the relationship, right? Because on the one hand I knew I wanted to be with her, on the other hand I wasn't sure whether this relationship is actually what I want, right? It also disabled me in everything else. Like it held me back in my work. It held me back in working out. Like there's so many times where I worked out, and in between sets I just couldn't stop thinking about this and got emotional and insecure and everything. And workout was shit because of that. Sometimes I didn't want to train because I knew in between sets I would think about this, because right, you get in the zone and your music is going, but like in between sets you just think, you just contemplate. So that's what it was back then. Now recently, like 3 months ago, I had a pretty big fight with my girl. We fought for like 4 hours, which is normal in relationships, right? You argue and stuff, and we stay very respectful, mostly. So, but still, huge fight. One of the biggest ones we've had. Did that cause me to become insecure? Did that make me doubt the relationship? No, not at all. It actually did the exact opposite. Throughout that whole fight, I was very confident about everything. And not only that, I was... How do I say this? I was sure that we're gonna figure it out. And that's what we did. And in the end, that fight brought us closer together instead of further apart. So... my car just told me I need to get fuel soon. Old car, so the sound is horrific, but yeah. That fight didn't cause me to have these doubts. Now what changed during that time between sleeping outdoors and that fight? Did she change? Yes. Did I force her to change, or did I tell her to change? No. The thing that actually changed was myself. There's this saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And this is exactly what you need to understand about this. Your uncertainty about this relationship is your problem. It's not her problem. You are uncertain about this relationship. You need to figure out why, and you need to figure out how to cure it. Self-accountability, man. It wasn't her who made me insecure about the relationship. It was myself. And I needed to figure out what I want from this relationship, whether I can get it. And also I needed to change myself instead of telling her to change. Because what happens when one partner changes? Well, they affect the other partner as well. So what happened in the end is I changed myself, and through that the whole dynamic in the relationship shifted, and she became way more secure, and she became way more committed, and so I had more of a secure base in the relationship, which then allowed both of us to go deeper. So I didn't blame her for anything. I did that in the past when I was still younger and less mature. It never helped. Instead, like I said, I changed myself. I took accountability. I looked at why am I insecure? What am I unsure about? What do I not know? Because uncertainty always comes from having too little information, knowing too little about the situation, right? Uncertainty is never an issue of like, or even like not being able to commit is never an issue of this, that, everything that people tell you about. It's just you not knowing enough about yourself, about the relationship, and whether those two go, whether that fits into what you want, right? So what I did was I led by example, and I figured out my needs, and I was open about those needs. I told her, this is what I need from you, right? And not in a needy way or in a simpy way where you're like, please give me this, but in a way of like telling her, for example, back then I was still very much anxiously attached to her. And I told her, what I need from you is, if you're away for uni, for example, right, then I need you to call me 3 times a day or something like that, right? And I didn't tell her this in a way where like, I need to call you 3 times, I need you to call me 3 times a day because I get so anxious. I told her, if we don't figure this out and I don't become more secure, which is only really possible with your help, then this relationship will not work out for both of us. Not in a way where I make it negative or something, but just literally telling her the facts and telling her why I do this. Telling her, I will not be able to commit deeper to this relationship if you don't help me become more secure. And of course, that's very vulnerable to do that, but it's also because of that very courageous. Figure out your own needs, most likely you don't even know what you want from the relationship. I'll be completely honest, you don't even know what you want. Be honest with yourself. Is that the case? Most likely is. For me, it certainly was. You don't even know what you want. So figure that out first. Then openly communicate that. Have the courage to just openly communicate what you want and what you need. And figure out a way to combine her needs and your needs. And then lead by example. Like I said, if you, for example, you can't really, you have these breakup thoughts because you can't really commit. Well then fucking commit. I don't swear often, but then just fucking commit and see what happens. Because most likely she's gonna commit more. Because you committed more. Because you lead by example. And again, don't do it out of desperation. Don't do it out of simpiness. Do it because you know what you want. And if you know that you want this woman, then man, fucking around won't help you. Now at the same time, one thing you can do, apart from telling your girl what you want and need from her, like I said, don't complain, don't argue, oh I need this, just tell her straight up, just tell her the facts, what you need, what you figured out for yourself, and that might change over time. If it does, tell her again what changed, right? But when she does something well, praise her. And praise her a lot. And praise her meaningfully. Don't just say thank you, but like actually have a certain energy in your voice that makes her feel that you mean it. And of course, only praise her, only compliment her if you actually mean it. If she actually did something that you really did like and enjoy. That's very important. If you try to compliment her inauthentically, that will never work. Never. No chance. She'll feel that. Her intuition will be like, oh, no, that's not genuine. And then besides all of that, you need to trust your gut, man. This is something that's often difficult for men. I know it's certainly difficult for me. We get very analytical, and often our gut feeling gets lost in that. We don't even know what's like our gut feeling and what our mind comes up with, right? We can't dissect that often because we analyze so much and so quickly. If that's the case for you, not sure which advice to give you here, to be honest. How to get more in touch with your gut feeling. Maybe I'll talk about it in a future video once I actually figure out how to give advice there. Because I don't want to give you some bullshit advice that won't help you. If I give advice, then I give advice that I've tried and applied in my own life and that has worked. But trust your gut, and also don't settle. I'll be completely honest, man. The only reason why I'm with my girl is because I didn't settle. There were other girls that I was interested in before we started dating, and I never pursued any of those. I had moments where I could have had my first time sex with another girl, and beautiful girl, gotta be completely honest, stunning woman. And me as like the little 17-year-old skinny guy, I was like, why am I in this girl's room at 2 a.m? Like, what the fuck happened? Didn't pursue her because I knew that it wouldn't lead to anything. And now this is tough, right? You need to really figure out, is this actually the woman that I want to be with? And can she actually give me what I really want? You will not figure that out by thinking. I'll tell you that much. You cannot figure that out by just thinking. You need to act. And then you need to reflect. And then you need to act again and reflect again until you have come to a clear decision. But what I will tell you is, don't settle for something that you're not happy with. Because you will resent yourself. And if you start resenting yourself, man, that's not a happy place to be. That's not a good place to be as a man. If you resent yourself, what's really left? What's really there that you can trust in? You don't even like yourself. That's not good. That's not worth a relationship. That's not worth a woman. And a woman won't fix that. You have to fix that yourself. If you want to learn more about all this stuff, you can join our free community. It's a place where I give detailed, in-depth advice on how I improve my relationship, on how other men who I talk to, who I read books from, or who I even coached, improve their relationships. And we're really building a collective of men who improve their relationships, who are quite certain that they want to be with their woman, or who maybe still are figuring that out, still in the process like you of figuring that out, who give each other advice, who post about lessons they learned, and it's become such a valuable place for everyone in there. There's a few members who are really active, and you can just see like week by week they make progress, and they post about wins they had in their relationship. They post about how this happened and their girl did this, and like they feel so fulfilled and so sure and secure in the relationship and all this stuff. So if that's interesting to you, you can check that out. It's linked in the description. And apart from that, man, take self-accountability. Your woman is not responsible for your relationship being shit. And even if she were responsible, even if she was the one who was responsible, that wouldn't help you. That thought will not help you. You can't change her. The only thing you can do is change yourself, and through that, affect her so she changes herself. That's the only thing you can do. I wish you all the best, man. Genuinely wish you all the best, because I know how hard it is to be in your situation. You got this, man. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.